we're discussing Awolowo's path because we're saying that there is a cacophony of voices. A lot of people are talking in Nigerian political space, and it's like there's an absence of models, of role models, people to look up to. And one person that, is worthy of all the accolades and praise they give to him is Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And Papa did some fantastic things, and we'll talk about those things a lot. But it's important to also appreciate how he got to that place. So his journey from when he was born, how he went to school, and things like that. And we had a great time yesterday talking about some of these things. I'm just going to do a very, very, very quick recap. We'll talk about how he was born March 6, 1909. We talked about how he grew up in Ikene, how his father died because there was a smallpox epidemic. The father died, and then he had to move to Abeokuta, living with his uncle in Ibarra. Eventually moved to live with his mother, with his grandmother. And the whole idea was that he would be helped as far as schooling was concerned, that they would, sponsor him and all of that. But that was not to be. He had to do all kinds of work to be able to, raise funds to go to school. He had to do all kinds of things to be able to go to school. He fetched sticks from the forest. He fetched water for people. He worked as a laborer. He worked as like a house help for 4 different people within a couple of years. Anything just to make sure that I was able to pay school fees. And eventually was able to graduate, I think it was in 1926. At that age, he was already 17 years old. That was when he finished primary school. All right. And it's important to say these things also because we're not just looking at the historical figure, we're also looking at parallels in our own lives. Sometimes you think things are late. Look at your mates and people have gone ahead. So he was talking about, for instance, when he finished, that he did not celebrate a lot because what he was just accomplishing in 1926 was what his mates had done in 1922 or 1923. So he says here, at the end of my time at Imo, that is in June 1926, I passed the government standard 5 examination, but I did not collect the certificate from the manager of our school because I did not feel so proud of passing in 1926 an examination which some of my colleagues in Ikene had passed in 1922 or 1923. I was pleased with myself, however, that at last I had attained one of the objectives which my father had steadfastly and fervently set before me in his lifetime, and which I had been yearning after and striving to achieve for upwards of 5 years. So, Papa did not finish primary school until 17. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So if you look at your life and some things are not working according to plan, you look at your mates, they've gone ahead of you. What some people have done 3, 4, 5 years ago, you are just struggling to get it done now in 2025 and you feel like you're late. Nah, you're not late. Everybody has his own race to run. We have a saying in Yoruba language, run your own race on your own lane. This man, his father's greatest dream for him was that he would become a clerk in Lagos. That was the highest point of his father's dream. It was because his father died that he had to move to Abeokuta. It was while he was living with his grandmother in Abeokuta that he saw lawyers walking down the road. And he saw them with their wigs and gowns. And he said, I'm going to be like one of these people. I'm not saying it's good that his father died, but I'm saying that even the setback was part of what was going to help him to identify his own path. And please, to be honest, the ones who did in 22 or 23, and I'm sure they did well in their lives, but we don't know them. We're talking about him right now. So during the June holidays, he was still working as a water drawer, still, fetching water and making money. And then eventually he assisted Mr. Mold in return for tips. You know what? At this point, let's just start reading. So I'm not doing a recap anymore. I'm just going to, plug into the next stuff, right? The first phase of my life struggles was over. What was I going to do next? By the way, there was a time I used to carry sheaves of grass. Oh boy. Ojuri, when I read this man, it just reminds me of my father. Those people had it rough, man. They're all here speaking English because they came. By the way, if you have a parent and you hate your parent and you always complain about what they didn't do, just remember that some of the English you are speaking right now, you can speak because they gave you leverage, essentially. So appreciate the good. All right? Let's get back to this. The first phase of my life struggles was over. What was I going to do next? I could be a shop attendant, a junior clerk, or what was then known as pupil teacher. But I wanted to pursue my education much further. In Abeokuta, I had seen lawyers in court, and from the moment I set my eyes on their wigs and gowns, I was possessed by an overpowering desire of one day becoming a lawyer. I sometimes thought I was being silly, for I was told it cost several thousands of pounds to study in England to become a lawyer. And as it was, I had neither the parents nor the guardians to sponsor me for such an expensive career. Nevertheless, the desire remained with me. After finishing at Imo, therefore, I thought that the best thing for me to do was to devise ways and means of finding money to pay my fees at the Abeokuta Grammar School. I reckoned that with some luck, I could manage the fees up to Form 4. It only meant that I would have to work much harder than ever before to earn a lot more money than hitherto. In the meantime, Mr. Mould had assured me that he would assist me to secure admission to the grammar school. In the midst of my cogitation, Mr. Keleko, my former headmaster, sent for me early in July 1926. He offered me a place on his staff. I told him of my plan, but he advised me to accept this offer and then work for admission to Wesley College, Ibadan in 1927, where I would be educated free for 4 years to become a certified teacher afterwards. In those days, Wesley College was a very famous institution among the Ijebus. It was an honor, second only to being a grammarian in Lagos, to be a student there. I accepted the offer, and about the middle of July 1926, I became a pupil teacher at Imo Wesleyan School.